Good morning, everybody. Happy Labor Day weekend. You have found us here at St. John United Church of Christ for our Sunday school, Sunday morning devotion. I'm Pastor Jana Myers, and I'm so grateful that you are with us for this time of study and reflection. We have been doing a whole month of Christian education all through August. If you remember, if you've been with us, those videos are up here for you to see, and we go through all the different parts of worship. But now that summer is over, now that we have entered the fall season, we are headed back to some of those comfort things, some of those things that we find to be useful and engaging, wise and friendly. And those things that we generally like in the Sunday school world are the Sunday school lessons from the UCC daily devotion. And we seem to have the most fun with the ones that are sort of randomly selected. And by that, I mean the ones that I go through and pick that are really fun, but aren't necessarily connected to a theme. So for the next 2 months, before we head into fall, well, probably the next 3 months, before Advent, we'll have a reach into those contemporary lessons as well as some old but good ones that we haven't seen in a while but have been around. So this morning's lesson is a pretty recent one, but I think you will love it. It is from UCC Daily Devotions. It is by Talitha Arnold, and we use a lot of hers. She wrote this one for our daily devotions on August 23rd, and it is called The Wonder of It All. Our focus verse this morning is Psalm 8, 3 and 4. When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you have established, what are human beings that you are mindful of them, mortals that you care for them? Coincidences, affirms writer Frederick Buechner, are God's way of getting our attention. If that's true, then we best pay attention to the pretty amazing coincidence this summer. In the midst of all the heartbreaking images this summer has brought, from the war in Ukraine and the school shootings in Uvalde to the refugee camps in Somalia and the detention centers at the U.S.-Mexico border, the heat wave deaths in Europe and the fires of New Mexico, there has also been another set of photographs in the news. Thanks to the Webb telescope, we have had our first glimpse into very deep space, with pictures of the universe's oldest galaxies formed billions of years ago. The telescope sent back an image of a stellar nursery where stars are being formed and another of a giant planet orbiting outside our solar system. Magnificent, incredible, wondrous. We don't have enough adjectives to describe such mystery and beauty. The telescope pictures don't negate or gloss over this summer's devastating images of human tragedy and creation's destruction. But perhaps when we look at these new images of the heavens and the stars, we ask in wonder, as the ancient psalmist did, what are human beings that you are mindful of, mortals that you care for us? Perhaps our awe will renew our love for a creation, for all beings, and for the one who created all of us. As we close out summer this week, as this is the official end to summer, it seems like a good idea to take a look back or a look down and a look up and forward at the same time. And our Sunday school lesson this morning offers us just that. A glimpse into a moment where we can stand with two hard truths. One, that we as people have a tendency, have a habit, maybe even have a nature to hurt one another over and over again. We find the news of how we treat our neighbor, whether it is our personal neighbor or our collective neighbor, whether it's our national neighbor or a global neighbor, with fear, with closed fists, and often with violence. When we couple that truth, that inescapable reality that when we also treat our neighbor as well as the creation with a great deal of harm, we hold those truths in one hand. We must also acknowledge the truth that God has created this world and us, and that we are only part. In the other hand, the pictures from the telescope, the news of the really kind of amazing things that this telescope will do, coupled with, if you've been watching the news like our family has, waiting for the Artemis launch of the next rocket to begin a new phase in space and lunar exploration, you have to acknowledge that we are not the only thing that God created. That there are planets and stars, that there are people and plants, and whether they are far across galaxies that we can only see just now with telescopes, and even that at one point will probably open up the window to many, many more pictures. That there are people here that we need to open a window to and examine. And that we are not in charge of it all. We don't own it, we don't get to keep it, but we do need to care for it. Whether it's space, whether it's our neighbor, whether it's our own home planet. As this summer comes to a close, I wonder how you have been this season. Has your season been chaotic and wild? Are you in need of rest? To lay out in the grass one more time tomorrow before summer's final end and stare at the skies and imagine what a lunar nursery would look like? To imagine what it means for God's fingers to be knitting together stars and galaxies, which will have nothing to do with us, which we may never even fully understand or even be able to fully photograph. If you have been consumed with this planet and its pain and woes, I challenge you to take a few moments to be reminded that we are one of many and that there is so much beyond this atmosphere. Lay out in that grass, sit on your porch, and stare at the sky. But if you've had your head in the clouds all summer, if the news has been too hard and it's so much easier to think about a different time or space or to ignore what's happening here on earth, I want you to come back to earth. I want you to pay attention to how the world has been and how you can be a part of caring for your neighbor. For the many hard things that have happened, we are not helpless. We have agency to be able to take care and support those who are around us, whether with our time, by listening and making calls, by letter writing or card sending, whether that's to a neighbor or a legislator. You also have the time to donate and offer gifts, whether you are able to give to our food pantry. One of the hard things that the summer brings is that the food pantry does not have enough resources and food to keep going every week. So starting next week, on September 7th, they'll only be offering food to families once a month. That to me seems like a heartbreaking reality that we can do something about here. So if you're able to support our local food pantry, if you're able to support with your time as a volunteer, with your donations as food, with your monetary contributions, we can change part of the hard reality that's here. We can bring our head out of the clouds, out of the stars, and ground our feet right here on earth with neighbors who need help. If you've got the ability to share information, to tell stories about the way that this summer has been for you, stars or dirt, I hope that you will take time tomorrow in your last day of summer to either lift off and take a respite if it has been a hard season, or ground yourself if you've been avoiding some of the pain that surrounds us. For this season that up comes, the fall, is one of bringing in what we've sown. It's a new time. Take your last few hours tomorrow and reflect and challenge yourself to lean in to what you may have been ignoring. Would you pray with me? Creator God, creating still, thank you for getting our attention. May our wonder at your heavens lead us to love this world as you so love it. Amen. I hope that you will explore the images the Webb telescope sent back. We will put them, I think we'll have them here at church, but we'll try to make sure they're up on Facebook too so that you guys can see them in the church family page. And then after you've done all that looking and being amazed at God's creation, join us right back here for worship at 10 a.m. and we will enjoy communion and worship together. Grab your communion supplies. You've still got time to get them from the tub if you don't have them. I'll see you right back here at 10.